There's something about getting away from your normal daily life where you get clarity and you get that time to think without all your responsibilities at home of what you need to be doing in your life and what you should be doing. So I'm hanging out at this hotel because I was shooting and they put me up in this nice hotel, and just having that quality time to think about your life without distractions from the kids or looking at the dishes that need to be done and all of that. I started really thinking about my future, my life, my goals, my dreams, and others' expectations of me. Have you ever felt you had to do what other people wanted you to do? I battled that pretty much my whole life. It started when I didn't have confidence in myself, and I just assumed everybody knew better than me. And as I grew, I got better at, going after the things I wanted to do with my life and spotting the people who don't really want what's best for me, but want me to do what they like or want me to do what makes them feel comfortable. So I got better at saying no to those kinds of things. But the place I was still stuck at, and maybe some of you are stuck there as well, is when you have people who love and care about you and actually do want what's best for you, not what's best for them, and they want to lead you on a path to a certain direction to do what they really, truly in their heart feel would be good for you, would be a success for you, and you can see yourself doing it, and it's in your wheelhouse, and it wouldn't be that much of a stretch, and you could see how it could be good. You could get results from it. You could make money at it. It could be your calling, but there's a bit of resistance. And I want you guys to pay attention whenever there is a bit of resistance. There's something in you that isn't sitting right yet. There's something that's stopping you. Have you ever felt like, oh gosh, I'm supposed to do this. This could be so great for me. This could turn out to be really amazing. And then when it comes time to do it, you don't. You pause, you wait, you think, you make excuses. That is something to listen to. Even if someone is like your cheerleader, they're your mentor, they want what's best for you and they want you to succeed. I'm not talking about the people who want you to fail or to be mediocre to make them feel better. I'm talking about the people who really love you and care about you and want to see success. This is the whole nother level of being able to distinguish, is this really truly my calling? Is this something that I really feel strongly that God put in my heart? And this is where it gets difficult, because a lot of times what other people are suggesting who love you and care about you and who are your mentors and who always give great advice and who are like tuned into God, tuned into things that are happening, they can still get it wrong. So if you're like I have been for a lot of my life, you take their advice because Scripture says in the multitude of counselors there is wisdom. So you've got people giving you what could be great advice, but you have resistance. That resistance is something to listen to, and here's where you have to know the difference. Is this resistance because I don't truly feel in my heart of hearts that I'm supposed to do that thing? Or is that resistance, am I just resisting it because I'm scared? It's something new. I'm afraid to fail. I don't know if it'll turn out. And this is something I've been struggling with the certain movie I want to make, the certain movie I want to direct. And when I was, on vacation recently, the last week, it was just so heavy on me that I realized this person's dream for me, what they want me to do, what they've been grooming me for, is great, and it's wonderful, and it's a good dream, and I could see myself having success at that thing. But then I realized if I spent the time and energy going after this dream that I could be good at, that is a dream that could turn out, that I, it could be fulfilling, and it's something I love. But I realized that's not where my mind is. So take note. What do you think about every day? What is the dream that's constantly in your heart? What do you keep coming back to, even if it's not a money maker that people have seen? So for me, one of the things has always been my poetry and my writing and stuff like that. And, for years, you can't make a living at that, but it makes me happy. It makes my heart sing. And yes, maybe there are other things I would be good at that would potentially bring in more revenue. But when I started to think about my online course, You Are Worthy, and the courses that I have in my heart to follow that up, I realized if I go after this filmmaking goal to, produce and direct these films, although they're great films and they would be entertaining and they would touch a lot of people, I realized I didn't have the passion for it that I had when I think about my online course, and when I think about helping people on the level I want to help them with, on a deep personal level. So you guys all have something like that for you, where, whether it's, you should become a doctor, you should become an engineer, you should be this and that, and you maybe have an interest in that. Like I have an interest in healthy eating, and I make great smoothies, and I have people telling me all the time, oh my gosh, I love your smoothie recipes. You should be doing recipe books. You should have a smoothie recipe book out. You should be making videos on YouTube. I love to eat healthy, and I love, doing that kind of thing. But I knew that's not my calling. There's plenty of people on the internet that are making good, healthy food and smoothies, and you can watch their videos. So it becomes an interesting place where you have all these interests, you have all these things that are fun that you like to do, but just because they're fun, you're good at it, or you like to do it, doesn't mean it's your calling. So you have to get crystal clear when you start heading towards something. Where is there resistance? To not just push through. This is what I used to do. I used to go, there would be this little thing that wanted to stop me, and I'd be like, you know what? We got to push through it. We got to get through that little, we're just going to get over it. But is it making your heart happy? Is it bringing you joy? Is it making your heart sing? Can you see yourself doing it in the long term? And even if you can, is it the ultimate best and good that God has for you? So anything worthwhile is going to take a long time. Anything good is going to take a long time to create. It takes 2 to 3 years minimum to do a film. I worked on my zombie film 4 or 5 years. So what do you want to put your life into? This is the question for you guys. What do you want your legacy to be, and what do you put your life into? And I got to be thinking, yeah, this movie I want to make, it's got a great message, but is it going to reach people with the level of impact that I want to have? And I could argue either way for it. I could say, yes, a film is going to touch millions of more people than an online course. Way less people are into self-help and personal development and wanting to get better in life. More people, thousands, millions of more people are wanting to sit down in front of a movie and just be entertained. Even if it's learning life lessons, right? We know that from Darman Studios. We know people want a good message. We know people want to better their lives, but the people that want to sit down and study and learn how to become better, how to get the breakthroughs, that's far less people. So there's all these things to consider. Just because you could reach potentially millions of more people doing something, like if I were to go ahead and make this film I've been desiring to make, Is it going to fulfill me the most? Is it in my wheelhouse? Does it come naturally to me? And I realized, man, it's like all I want to do every day is help people better their lives, to get out of the rut that they're stuck in, to talk to you guys and tell you, hey, this is where I failed. This is where I fell down. This is how I overcame. And I realized that is where my passion is. That is where my lifeblood is. Yes, I've spent the last 20 years making movies, but thinking about that, okay, what is the perfect shot? What is the best angle? How can we be creative in this? That doesn't light me up like telling you guys how to get a breakthrough, telling you guys how to overcome. And yes, it may not make me big Hollywood money, but if it fulfills the purpose that God put in your heart, then that's something you have to think about it. So what is it for you guys? You have a list of great things you could do with your life, and they will take your life to achieve. What are the messages you want to put out in the world? What is the work you want to put out in the world? What is the work you want to be known for? What is it that you feel would touch the most people on the deepest level? And I said to myself, yeah, I could have a few hundred people come up to me and say, your movie was really great. It was clever. That was a good message. But it wouldn't have the life-altering effects that I feel like my online courses are going to have, where I'm reaching deep down into a wounded heart and pulling out the slivers from people who don't know how to go on. From people who have been so hurt and trampled on, they don't even know where to go from there. So I said, that is my job. It's not to entertain people necessarily, but it's to pull out the slivers so that they can go on another day, so that they can face the things in front of them, so they finally have the courage and the confidence to stand up for themselves, to say no to the people they need to say no to, and say yes to themselves. And I said to myself, if I only have this certain short time on earth, which we all do, what do I want to do with that time? How do I want to reach people? How do I want to fulfill it? And I said to myself, if I say yes to this movie, this is the realization I had this week, then I am saying no to all the creative projects I feel like God has given me to write. Guys, I have at least 12 more ideas for books in my mind. I have at least 6 more ideas for online courses. And yeah, maybe people don't want to read anymore these days. Maybe people don't want to study. But that, for me, is going to make an impact, maybe not on a massive scale, but on a deeper scale than I could have done any other way. So I want you guys to be thinking about that. I want you guys to be thinking about when you have choices in front of you, it's not just, can I do this and will I be successful at it? Because you can be successful at anything you put your mind to. But think about, what is it that you wake up thinking about? What is it that you dream about? What comes naturally to you? And when you are setting out to do something, where do you feel resistance? And pay attention to that resistance, because that is your body, that is the Holy Spirit, that is telling you, wait a minute, stop, let's think about this. Let's have some time, let's get away. Guys, get away from the kids, get away from the family, get away from your friends that are always talking, turn off the TV, go out for a nature walk, go out for half a day and just bring your notebook with you, go grab a tea and go sit and just say, God, here are my choices. What do you want me to do? What did you create me for? What is my purpose on earth? And how can I fulfill that to the best of my abilities, not to please somebody else? I realized some of the stuff my mentors wanted for me was kind of a dream that they had, that they were, not in a negative way, but they were projecting onto me because they wished their life had gone differently, and they wanted to steer me in a direction they thought would be most successful. So what they want for you may not be something that God wants for you. Even if in the natural, in our human understanding, even if it makes sense. Even if their plan makes total sense, it may not be the thing that God has for you. Something God has for you may not make sense to your mentor. They may not understand it. And I've gone through this before with my mentors. They didn't get it. They didn't get the vision, because guess what? God gave you the vision. He didn't give it to other people. So when you go after what God has for you, there's going to be a lot of people who don't understand. People who love you, people who want what's best for you, still will not get it. And you have to be brave enough to stand on your own and to say, thank you for all your help. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for your mentorship. Thank you for helping me all these ways. But this is something I know I need to do. And I know you don't get it. And I know you've never seen anybody be successful at this. And this other thing you're suggesting for me to do, in the natural, it looks like, yeah, this is the plan to success. But if it's not what God has designed you for, it's not going to work out on the level that you could have if you just followed that still small voice in your heart. So guys, even if it doesn't make sense to others, you have to do what is burning in your heart, even if it doesn't make sense to others. Okay, I hope that was helpful to you. Please, if you want to message me or tell me what is it that you feel like God has put in your heart that nobody gets, that nobody understands. I mean, some people are called to make art out of kernels of rice or grains of rice. That doesn't make sense to people. But whatever it is, there's some famous person online that makes art on the back of people's dirty cars. You think, how could that do anything? But you know what? What God has for you isn't going to make sense to people, because when God called you, when He called you, it wasn't a conference call. It was a direct call just to you. Live true, love hard, shine bright. Hey there, it is Katherine Norland. I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you guys think that this video would bless somebody else or that they need to hear it, please hit the share button. And there's a little bell button too, where you can be notified whenever I have a video that comes out so you don't miss a thing. I appreciate you guys. Remember, always live true, love hard, shine bright, and I will see you in the next video.